My mom's boyfriend is a lazy freeloader and it's destroying our relationship. Am I overreacting? I can't even believe I'm writing this, but I've reached a point where I just can't keep this inside anymore. I need to vent, and honestly, I need some advice because this whole situation has completely destroyed my relationship with my mom. I'm a 22-year-old woman, and I've always had a complicated relationship with my mom. Don't get me wrong, I love her, she's my mom, but things have always been tense between us. She raised me on her own after my dad bailed when I was just a baby. It was always just the two of us, which I thought would mean we'd be super close. But instead, it feels like we've been at odds for as long as I can remember. It's not that she was a bad mom or anything. She worked her ass off to make sure we had a roof over our heads and food on the table, and I respect her for that. But as I got older, our relationship got more strained. I always felt like she treated me more like a burden than a daughter, like I was something she had to deal with instead of someone she wanted around. She was strict as hell, too, everything had to be her way, and there was no room for discussion. Growing up, I had to fight for every little bit of freedom. By the time I turned 18 and could legally do whatever the F***K I wanted, it was like a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. But even though I was an adult, I was still living with her, and things didn't really get better. Then, about a year ago, everything went to shit. That's when Ricardo came into the picture. My mom met Ricardo through some mutual friends, and at first, I didn't think much of it. She dated a few guys over the years, and it never lasted long. I figured this guy would be just like the others, a short fling that wouldn't go anywhere. Boy, was I wrong. Ricardo is an effing leech, and he's completely taken over my mom's life. I've never seen her act like this with anyone before. She's obsessed with him, and it's honestly disgusting. The guy doesn't even work, he's always between jobs, always waiting for the right opportunity as he likes to put it. But I know the truth, he's a lazy ass who doesn't want to lift a finger as long as my mom's paying for everything. The first time I really started noticing how bad things were was when he moved in. Now, let me be clear, this dude moved in after only a few months of dating my mom. That should have been a huge red flag right there. I didn't even know he was staying with us until I came home one day and saw his stuff scattered all over the living room. I asked my mom about it, and she just shrugged it off, saying, "Oh, Ricardo's just staying here for a little while until he gets back on his feet, yeah, right?" That was a year ago, and he hasn't moved an inch since. At first, I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he really was going through a rough patch. I mean, it happens, right? People lose jobs, and it takes time to get back on track. But the more I saw of him, the more I realized this guy wasn't looking for work. He wasn't even trying. He was just sitting around all day, watching TV, drinking beer, and doing absolutely nothing to contribute to the household. My mom, on the other hand, was working even harder to support both of them. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My mom, the woman who had always been so independent, was now paying for everything while this bum sat on his ass and took advantage of her. What pissed me off the most was how my mom refused to see it. Every time I tried to bring it up, she'd get all defensive and act like I was being unreasonable. "Ricardo's been going through a lot," she'd say. "He'll find a job soon. You need to stop judging him." Judging him? Are you kidding me? I'm not judging him, I'm calling him out on his bullshit. But no matter what I said, she wouldn't listen. It was like she had blinders on when it came to him. Things really hit the fan when I found out how much money she'd been giving him. One night, I overheard them talking in the kitchen, and I heard her ask, "How much do you need this time?" That's when it clicked for me. He wasn't just freeloading off her, he was actually asking for money. And she was giving it to him. I couldn't believe it. After the conversation ended, I confronted her about it. I told her straight up that Ricardo was using her, that he didn't give a shit about her, and was only with her because she was paying for his life. But instead of listening to me, she flipped out. She started yelling, accusing me of being jealous and trying to sabotage her relationship. She even said, "You've never liked any of the men I've dated." I was shocked. This wasn't about jealousy, it was about watching my mom get taken advantage of by some asshole who didn't deserve her. After that fight, things between us got even worse. I started avoiding being home because I couldn't stand being around Ricardo. Every time I saw him, it made my blood boil. He was always so smug, acting like he was king of the castle while my mom did everything for him. He'd make these little comments like, "Oh, your mom's the best, I don't know what I'd do without her," or "She just gets me, you know." It made me sick. He was manipulating her, playing on her emotions to get what he wanted. and she was falling for it hook, line, and sinker. I remember one time when I came home after a long shift at work. I'm a waitress, so I'm on my feet all day, and there's Ricardo, sitting on the couch, beer in hand, watching some dumb show on TV. My mom was in the kitchen making dinner, and when she saw me walk in, she asked if I could help with setting the table. Before I could even respond, Ricardo pipes up with, "Hey, can you grab me another beer while you're up?" The nerve of this guy. I ignored him and went straight to my room, but later that night, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I told my mom that he needed to leave, that I couldn't live with him anymore. She just sighed and said, "You're being so dramatic. Ricardo's going through a hard time. You need to have some compassion." Compassion? For him? Yeah, no thanks. That wasn't the only time he crossed the line. A few weeks later, he tried to get involved in my personal life. I had just started dating this guy, and things were going well. I was excited, and I told my mom about him. Well, guess who decided to stick his nose where it didn't belong? Ricardo. One night, when I was getting ready to go out on a date, Ricardo made some snide comment like, "You sure this guy's good enough for you?" I looked at him, trying to figure out if he was serious. This coming from the guy who didn't even have a job and was living off my mom? I wanted to tell him to F***K off right then and there, but I didn't want to cause another blowout with my mom. Instead, I just ignored him and left. But that night, I couldn't stop thinking about how much I hated him. He was inserting himself into every part of our lives, acting like he had some sort of authority when he was nothing more than a parasite. It wasn't just me who noticed either. Some of my cousins came over one day for a family gathering, and even they were side-eyeing Ricardo. One of them pulled me aside and asked, "What's the deal with him? Why is he living here?" I explained the situation, and she just shook her head, saying, "Girl, your mom deserves better. You need to get him out of here. Trust me, I've been trying." But no matter what I do, my mom defends him. It's like she's in some sort of trance, unable to see the reality of what's happening. And the thing is, I know my mom. She's not stupid. She's tough as nails and doesn't let people push her around, except when it comes to Ricardo. It's like he has some sort of hold on her, and I can't figure out why. I've tried everything, talking to her calmly, getting angry, even showing her proof that he's taking advantage of her financially. Nothing works. She's convinced that he's just going through a rough patch and that things will get better. But I know they won't. This is who he is, a user, a manipulator, a lazy piece of shit who's just waiting for my mom to run out of money. The worst part is, I don't think my mom even realizes how much this is affecting our relationship. I've pulled away from her because I can't stand seeing her with him. We barely talk anymore, and when we do, it almost always turns into an argument about Ricardo. It's like there's this wall between us now, and it's all because of him. I miss my mom. I miss the woman who raised me, the woman who taught me to be strong and independent. But that woman is gone. Now, she's just someone who's being taken advantage of, and it's killing me to watch. I've even considered moving out just to get away from the situation, but financially, it's not an option right now. I'm saving up, but rent in our area is insane, and I don't want to leave my mom to deal with this alone. At the same time, I feel like staying is just enabling the whole situation. If I leave, maybe she'll see the truth about Ricardo. Or maybe she'll just let him take over completely. I honestly don't know what to do. I guess that's why I'm writing this. I need advice. I need someone to tell me if I'm being unreasonable or if I'm right to be worried. Am I just overreacting? Should I be more patient with my mom and let her figure this out on her own? Or should I keep pushing her to see what's really going on? I'm at a loss. All I know is that if things keep going the way they are, I'm going to lose my mom for good, and I'm not sure I can handle that. Thanks for listening. If anyone has any advice, I'm all ears because right now, I don't know what the F***K to do.